Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a delightful day. I am so excited to sit down with you guys today and do this fun video that I have seen going around. I think Andrea Mattiano, don't know if I'm saying her name right, is the first one I saw doing this, but it's possible I might have that incorrect. But I know it's been going around and we are talking about our 20 favorite products from 20 different brands. And so this particular video, I feel like I could do a part 2, maybe even a part 3, like indie brands, high-end brands, but this particular video is all about affordable brands. Brands you can find at drugstores, at Ulta, at Target, and Walmart. And some of these brands were really difficult to choose. But I have a box of my favorites sitting next to me. It's a very, good feelings just looking at that box. Before we get started, my tea of the day is a black tea from Davidson's Organic. It's a brand I get quite often in my Sip Supply box, and I probably have mentioned this one to you before, but I'm trying to get through a bunch of my samples. I have a lot of tea right now, a lot of little open baggies everywhere, so I'm trying to get through some of these samples. This one is a really nice mellow black tea. It has kind of a sweet aroma and kind of a sweet taste too, maybe slightly fruity. It's a really interesting tea. All right, I'm gonna go through 20 affordable brands, and you'll be noticed there are certain brands in here that I have avoided talking about, and it's just because I don't have a favorite from them. Like you probably notice CoverGirl in particular, I'm not gonna mention. I haven't tried a whole lot of things from CoverGirl. I don't have a favorite from CoverGirl, so I'm not gonna try and I don't know, just pick something, unless it's an actual favorite. So all these brands, I have something that I really like from them. And I'm gonna go alphabetically. So starting with Almay. Almay is not a brand that gets talked about a whole lot, but this blush from Almay, so this is the Healthy Hue Blush. I have the shade Nearly Nude, and I know I've mentioned it before on my channel. I really think that the formula is a high-end formula, but just in some, cheap cardboard drugstore packaging. So it is a baked gelée formula. I think it's gelée. If it's not gelée, I guess I'd be really surprised, but it is for sure a baked formula, and it creates a really nice thin layer. I got kind of a thick swatch so you just could see the color better, but it has a really pretty luminous finish, and the color is just perfection. Blends out beautifully, and normally I'm into cream blushes, you guys know that, but I really think that this is one of those blushes that I wouldn't mind having all the other colors in. I don't really do that with blush just because I like to try out all the new formulas, but this is one in the back of my mind all the time. Like if I decided to just quit trying new formulas and just pick up more shades of my favorite formulas, this is one of those blushes where I would do that with. Next up, I have Believe Beauty, which is the makeup line that you can get at Dollar General. When I first heard people start talking about this brand, I did not think it could possibly be good. I mean, it's a dollar store brand, but it's actually really good. Specifically, the foundation, which I can't believe I'm mentioning this just because it's so wild. I think this is $5 at Dollar General, and it is great. Every single time I use it, I'm kind of blown away. Like, how is this good? So it comes in a nice glass bottle, and it has a gold pump on it, and it's kind of more of a thick formula in comparison to others that I've tried. Not super thick, but you can see what I mean. Holding it up there, it'll start to run down my hand a little bit, but it has a little bit more substance to it than just like a regular BB cream would, which makes sense because it is a foundation, but it's very creamy. I love the way that it sits on my skin. It does not emphasize pores, and when it does dry down, it's more of like a satin skin-like finish versus anything glowy, and I like to blend it out with a beauty blender, although I have used their brush. They also sell brushes from Believe Beauty at Dollar General, and their brushes are good too. The foundation brush is good. So I don't know if I can mention this enough. It doesn't flare up my acne. Like if you're someone with more oily skin, which the whole dewy trend is not your thing, and you're looking for something that's not so glowy and will stay on your face really well, I think you should try this one. I think it's really good. The only thing is you have to buy it in store. Sadly, you can't just buy it online. You can look at the makeup online, you just can't buy it online. The shade that matches me is Ivory, Delicate Ivory. Okay, let's talk about Colourpop. Colourpop has so many good products that this is one of those brands where I'm already gonna go off the rails and go off the rules for a little bit, and I'm gonna mention more than one thing because I cannot pick an actual favorite. I have to mention their palettes, and they come out with so many palettes that it's overwhelming, but truly they have a really good formula. And I haven't tried, a ton of palettes from them, but I do have a favorite palette from them, and it's the Going Coconuts palette. This continues to be a favorite. I love how it has slightly cool, you know, shades over here, a little bit of warmth, but this is more of a neutral leaning palette than some of their other palettes. This shade here in the middle, Cocoa Crush, absolutely glorious. They probably should release this one in a single. It is the most perfect, just neutral lid shade. I don't think you can go wrong with a Colourpop palette. I have heard that some are better quality than others, which is bound to happen with how many palettes that they put out, but I do recommend trying their palettes if you're getting into makeup and you just don't really know where to start. I feel like Colourpop eyeshadow, it's a good place to start. The other item I have to mention from Colourpop is anything in their Super Shock formula. They have Super Shock eyeshadows, Super Shock highlighters, Super Shock, did I mention blushes already? Blushes. I'm going to show you a super shock highlighter. So this is the shade Lunch Money, and it's amazing. It's one of those products that is extremely soft to put your finger in, and when you put it on your face, I mean, I suppose you can build it up if you want to make it extra wild, but I feel like when you blend it in, this has got to be one of the nicest products to just lay on your skin. Rather than highlight texture, it just creates a beautiful glow. And it's just, I think it's the texture of this that is so nice. Same with the blushes, same with the eyeshadows. The texture is just really creamy and melts into the skin just beautifully. And it's so inexpensive. Drugstore makeup is getting more expensive, and these are not expensive. So that is a wonderful thing. Let's talk about e.l.f. e.l.f. is another brand where I had a really difficult time picking one thing. They have so many good products, but I think the product I'm going to mention is one that I recently finished, so I don't have it. I'll put up a picture. This is the Flawless Brightening Concealer. It is a very sheer concealer that melts gorgeously into the skin, and you're not going to get a ton of coverage with this one. It's just going to wake up your under eyes a little bit, and I found that it created the most beautiful natural look. If you're into no makeup, you just want that little extra something to freshen up your face a little bit, I think this is a glorious product, and I will eventually be repurchasing it. Okay, now Essence, another one of my favorite brands. I have to mention the mascara, and of course I've finished mine, so I don't have it to show you. It will be a repurchase. I really like the False Lash Effect mascara from them. I know that they have a lot of mascaras and everyone has their favorite. One of these days when I go through all my makeup stash, like my mascara stash, I need to actually just try out a bunch of Essence mascaras. I think that would be a really fun experiment to try all the Essence mascaras, and it wouldn't be that expensive because they're like $4.99. But anyway, I won't be doing that for a while. Like I said, I'm still going through a lot of mascaras in my backlog, but I really think the False Lash Effect mascara from them is wonderful in the sense that it does all the things. It lifts, it separates, it creates volume, and it really lengthens on me. And on me, it wears pretty well. Mascara is so personal, so I understand it won't work for everyone, but I really do think it's one of Essence's best products. Okay, let's talk about another favorite brand for me, and that would be Flower Beauty. Oh, I have so many favorites from this brand. Their lipstick in the shade Spice Petal used to be my favorite lipstick. It's a beautiful nude color. And since they're a brand I have such a hard time choosing, I am going to mention two products. One of them I am wearing today. So first of all, this is the highlighter, the Day Glow Highlighting Glaze from Flower Beauty. I am wearing it on my cheeks today, and if you are so drawn to those high-end formulas that just create the most gorgeous glow on your cheeks, like the dewy look, but they're just too expensive, like you're just not willing to spend the money, this is just as good. It really is. It isn't going to create any sort of stripiness, just a beautiful glow. I don't get like my hair stuck in this. It is like a balmy product, so I understand that some people might be worried about their hair sticking to their face. I haven't really noticed that with this, but I really highly recommend. And another product from them that I think is so good is their Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer. Now, you guys know I'm not really a bronzer person, but this is my gateway bronzer. It got me into bronzer, and the reason why I like it so much is because it's very sheer. It has a beautiful luminous finish without being sparkly or anything. And this particular shade, Sunrise, is the more cool toned one. This bronzer range only has a couple shades. This is the cool toned one, and you can build it up actually. I feel like I have overdone it a few times with this bronzer, but generally, usually, it's a very sheer product. So even if you do go overboard with it, it's not gonna look crazy. This is another baked formula. I've decided that I really tend to like the baked formulas the most. If you're like me, you're not that into bronzer, but you think you might like a sheer powder bronzer, I would recommend this one. Let's talk about Honest Beauty. I've only actually tried a couple products from them, so I wasn't sure if I should should mention the brand, but I have a serious favorite from them, so I had to mention this blush. Now they've recently repackaged it, so it doesn't look this way, but this is their cream cheek blush. I have the shade Rose Pink. Oh, so this is the first cream blush I ever purchased, and it still holds up as a favorite. So the reason why it's so good, for one thing, it's more of a stiff, balmy formula, which means that it wears really well. Every single time I wear it, I'm impressed at how it melts into my skin. So even though it melts into my skin beautifully, once it's there, it stays on my skin all day. This particular shade is just a really, really good natural shade for me. And I have heard actually that when they updated the packaging that they slightly changed the color of this, which makes me scared for when I go to repurchase it because I love the color of this so much. But even if they have changed the color a little bit, I'm still gonna recommend it just because the formula is so fantastic. Next, let's talk about LA Girl. So the product I'm going to mention, again, I have repurchased a couple of times and used up a few times, and I currently don't have it in my collection. It's their Shady Slim Brow Pencil. I think the shade that I use is like Soft Brunette or something like that. I think that's the right name, but I like it because it's more of a soft pencil, but that also isn't too waxy or anything. It's just really easy to use, which I feel like a brow pencil should be easy to use. I hate having to fuss with a brow pencil, and it's very fuss-free. However, if you're someone who uses a lot of pencil in your brows, you probably may not like this one just because I feel like you could go through it more quickly just because it is a soft formula. But for me, it's perfect. I don't use a whole lot in my brows, and so the pencil lasted me a long time. So I liked how soft the formula was, but I also really liked the color. It wasn't too orange or red or anything. It was just a really, really good color to match my brows and my hair. Okay, let's talk about L'Oreal. So again, I have not tried a whole lot from them, but I still am gonna mention 2 products because I could not choose a favorite. So yeah, you're getting way more than 20 products in this video, way more than 20 favorites. But I have to mention a classic from them. I feel like most people when they do this video may mention this product. So this is their Infallible Pressed Pigment. I have the shade Amber Rush. It comes with this little thing on the top to keep it all nice and squished down the bottom, but it is a lovely creamy formula. And I feel like a lot of shadows are basically trying to dupe this color. It's kind of a classic, isn't it? A classic rose gold that really, really looks well, I feel like, on all eye colors. But something that's a little newer from them, not super new, but a little more new, is their Glow Paradise Balm in a Gloss product. They never put the name on the product. I have a hard time remembering it. But I have the shade Rose Harmony in this product. So this is their version of like a liquid lip balm. And I actually think it's quite nice. It's nice and thin. And it does feel nice and hydrating too. There, it's more of a swatch so you can see the color better. So it doesn't slip and slide off your lips like a lip oil does, but it feels more hydrating than a regular lip gloss. I really like the formula, and this type of product in high-end brands can be actually kind of expensive. So I was excited to see this type of product at Walmart. This is a lip product that I wouldn't mind getting more colors in. Okay, let's talk about Makeup Revolution. So again, I'm gonna mention a product that I have used up a couple of these and I just haven't repurchased it lately. It's the Conceal and Define Concealer. I think this is really nice. It's a nice and thin product that doesn't lay heavy on the skin. I was able to blend it out so you couldn't see it. I think this is the first concealer I tried that I actually liked under my eyes. And it has quite a large shade range as well. So if you're looking for a drugstore concealer that has more coverage than that one from e.l.f. that I mentioned, you might enjoy this one. I'm not going to repurchase it at the moment because I have concealers I'm trying to use up and other concealers on my wish list, but this one will always be in the back of my mind as one that I can recommend to someone if they just need to grab one quick at Ulta and don't want to spend a lot of money. I think this is a good one. Okay, Maybelline, another brand where I'm going to mention more than one product because it's my video and I can do it if I want. So I had to mention the lifter glosses. This is kind of a thick, sweet smelling classic gloss. It comes with a nice big doe foot. It just feels super comfy when you use it. My favorite shade is the shade called Stone, which is more of like a warm caramel color. This right here, Stone. It really is a comfy formula. It's not sticky, and you can get it in different finishes. You can get it in more of the cream formula like this one. You can get it in a nice sparkly finish, and they do smell really sweet, like cake or something. I think it's an extremely pleasing formula, but I have to mention the Color Tattoo from Maybelline as well. This is another classic product that has been out for a really long time, but it's still really, really good. So this is the shade High Roller, which not the formula, but this actual shade is, I would say, a spot-on dupe for Charlotte Tilbury Oyster Pearl. So the shade is just really, really high-end looking, and they wear really well. Like, I know I'm probably telling everyone everything that they already know about these, but in case you have never tried one of these cream eyeshadows from Maybelline, they wear really well. I guess I shouldn't say that. If you have oily eyelids, I understand things can crease pretty badly. That has happened to me, I guess, in the past. But as far as cream eyeshadows go, this is one that it performs better than many. For Milani, I instantly knew which item I had to mention, and it's the Cheek Kiss Cream Blush. I have the shade Coral Crush, which this is way more bright than I would usually wear. This is just a summer shade for me, but the formula of this is just lovely. It's so fun to play with. It's super melty when you put your finger in it, and it's easy to get a very, very thin layer, but as you can see, it's very pigmented. You need the tiniest little bit, but the way it blends out is just so pleasing. It's so thin, and it's a little bit more on the dewy side. So it's a very, very fresh looking blush, but since it has a bit more pigment in it, I found that this wears on me really well. I've only heard one reviewer say that she felt like this did not wear well on her, and I know that reviewer has more oily skin. But I do think that if you're into cream blush, this is a formula worth checking out. I think it's really, really good. All right, I have a product from Neutrogena to mention, which I wish I've tried more things from Neutrogena. I wasn't sure if I should mention this product just because I haven't tried a whole lot from the brand. So can I say it's a favorite from the brand? But it is a favorite product, so I think I can. So I'm gonna go with it. So this is the Healthy Skin Blush in the shade Rosy. This is a very sheer, slightly luminescent pink, very light pink blush. This is one of those products where you swatch it and you're like, are you sure that that will show up when it's blended out on my skin? But it's one of those products that it just does that little extra something that I think it's just stunning. Obviously, that's not going to work for you if you have a whole lot more melanin than me. But if you're a pale person and you like a nice, soft, sheer blush that's kind of on the pinky side, I would recommend this one. Okay, let's talk about NYX. Even though NYX has so many good products, I instantly knew which product I was going to mention as my favorite product from them, and it is this one. You guys have heard me mention this so many times, but I still love it so much. This is the Sweet Cheeks Soft Cheek Tint Blush Mousse. I have the shade Nude Tude. This is another one of those blushes where I would happily purchase the entire range. So it comes out on a doe foot. It looks a lot like a lip product, and it has a decent amount of pigment to it. You don't need very much when you put it on your face. I am wearing it today. If you feel like it looks blotchy, I assure you it's not the blush. I just have some healing acne under there. I didn't want to put on too much foundation today. I'm going to be going out in public. I didn't want to look heavy. So I didn't wear something that totally covered it. But if that's what you're like, your blush looks patchy, I assure you. It's just some blemishes underneath my foundation right here. Anyway, but this is the color of the blush. It's a soft matte blush. So it can look pretty intense when you first swatch it, but it is a really, really flattering color. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, I found a dupe for this, and I swatch it next to it. I'm like, no, it's not the same. This has a really, really great tone to it that I haven't really found in other blushes. But if you're looking for a soft matte formula that blends out beautifully, doesn't look weird and cakey on the cheeks, and at a drugstore price point, I really recommend this one. Even if you're not looking for something at a drugstore price point, even if you're usually into high-end makeup, I think that you will like this formula. I think it's really, really good. From the brand Profusion, I'm going to mention another blush. I really enjoy their liquid blush. This is the Blush Hour Soft Matte Liquid Blush, and it has kind of a unique applicator. It's got like a little squishy, little sponge applicator. You're supposed to shake it in order to get it onto the applicator. And this particular shade, Rosé, is fairly sheer. I can use a lot of it when I put it on. But I recently saw someone else talking about these, and they had a different formula, and they said theirs was very pigmented. So maybe it depends on the shade you get as to the level of pigment. But this shade Rosé, I don't know if it's possible to get a blush that's easier to work with. You can see how sheer it is. Since it is a liquid blush, it does give a little bit of dew to the cheeks, but it dries down soft matte, just like it says. But you can see how sheer it was. So I find this one to be kind of difficult to mess up. If you just want a little kiss of color, this is a good one. Okay, let's talk about Revlon. This is another brand. I have to mention two products. I can't choose between the two. So the first one is the Super Lustrous Lipstick in the Shine formula. This is the shade Sparkling Honey. And I know I've mentioned this not too long ago on my channel. I mentioned this shade quite a bit, I feel, just because I think it is so, so good. So it's a super, oh, I kind of smudged it. So it's a super shiny balmy formula, and the shade Sparkling Honey is kind of a cool brown, and since it's so sheer, it works really well with the tone of your lips, so that means it'll work for a lot of different people. Every time I wear it, I'm just pleased. I really like how it looks, and this type of balmy lipstick formula is really popular right now. A lot of high-end brands are coming out with these, but I think you can get a really good one from Revlon. And I have to mention their cream eyeshadows. So they're very similar to the ones from Maybelline, but I think the Revlon ones are just a little bit more emollient perhaps. The shade I'm going to show you is the shade 710 Caramel, or Caramel, depending on where you are from. But this is a fantastic neutral shade, swatched in the weirdest spot possible. Okay, this is it right here. So you can see this kind of heavy swatch of Maybelline High Roller next to it. That's Caramel, that's High Roller. High Roller has probably more depth to it and is more taupey, whereas Caramel is a little bit more gold, perhaps. But same thing with these as with the Maybelline ones, they wear really well. And I feel like the matte shades in this are quite good. Finding a matte cream eyeshadow at the drugstore that is nice and creamy is difficult to find, and the matte shades in the Revlon, what do they call these? The Color Stay cream eyeshadows, they're very good. Speaking of matte cream eyeshadows, from Rimmel. Oh, a super favorite for me. These are all favorites, but this is a super favorite. So these are the Wonder Cloud All Day Wear Soft Eyeshadows. They are very sheer. Because of that, they're hard to mess up, but they create a really nice base for when you're working with other cream eyeshadows. I like to put these all over my lid, into the crease, and these are budge proof. I have never had these crease on me. The shade I swatched here is the shade Honey Drop, and it does dry down completely to a soft matte finish. I highly recommend these. I had to buy mine on Amazon. None of the stores around me carry a whole lot from Rimmel. They're great for a one and done look, and they're great in combination with other cream eyeshadows or powder eyeshadows. They're just a really good handy thing to have in your arsenal. So I do have all the shades I could get my hands on. And I don't think I can overstate how easy they are to use. I dislike fussy makeup. You guys have probably seen that, so my get ready with me's. This, I can literally swipe on my lid and just kind of like pat it with my finger and it looks perfect. So if you're like me and you don't want to spend forever with your eyeshadow, these are so good. Let's talk about the brand from Ulta. So I really enjoy their bouncy cream eyeshadows. They're quite similar, I think, to the Colourpop Super Shocks, although the shades I have aren't like nearly as metallic or sparkly as those. They're just in that sense of that they're kind of squishy and creamy. I'm not sure what shades are available now. I know they kind of discontinued some, brought some new ones in. This one is the shade Maple Pecan, which might be my favorite. So it's a beautiful creamy formula that lays in a super thin layer on your lid. One that's a little bit more sparkly is this one called Italian Ice. You'll notice that each shade has slightly different formulas in terms of like how much sparkle and stuff is in them. But when I say sparkly, it's like tiny little micro sparkle. So it's a beautiful kind of wet looking eyeshadow. Oh, that's really pretty. What's nice about the Ulta brand is they often will do like buy one, get one 50% off or some other sort of sale. So I feel like it's worth it to wait for a sale on these because it happens quite often. Okay, let's talk about Undone Beauty. You can buy Undone Beauty at Target and Ulta and of course on their website. So to me, they're kind of like a Glossier type brand. They're very much a whole no makeup, natural looking, multitasking products. My favorite from them is this product. So this is the lip to cheek product. It's unique in the fact that it has 3 different sections of light coverage, medium coverage, and full coverage. I guess I haven't ever used this on my lips. I just tend to use it on my cheeks. And I'm just going to take from the medium coverage spot here. I love this shade called Rosewood. Oh. It's absolutely glorious. I tend to like blushes and compacts like these. I don't know why. I find them very satisfying. But this particular formula, it's not quite as thin as the one from Milani, but perhaps not as thick as the one from Honest Beauty. Somewhere in the middle I would put it. But they have a lot of colors in this formula. And since it is a little bit more on the thick side and definitely on the pigmented side, I think it wears really beautifully too. And now for the very last brand I'm going to mention, Wet n Wild. I have to mention this pencil. This is another product I mention all the time, but this is the kohl eyeliner from Wet n Wild, and it's the brown one in the shade Simma Brown Now. So it's just a regular pencil eyeliner, and the shade Simma Brown Now is a pretty dark brown, and it's the one that I wear almost every day in my waterline, and I tightline with it a lot of times as well. Most of the time I just tightline with it. I like it because it doesn't transfer. It stays all day long, and I like how dark it is without being black. I like a good dark brown eyeliner. And the pencil will last an eternity. You buy it, it's a very long pencil, and it's 98 cents, or maybe it's 99 cents, one of the two, at Target. It's really inexpensive, and I feel like a pencil liner that stays well like this, you don't need to spend a lot of money. This is really good and will last forever. So there you have it, 20 affordable brands with more than 20 of my favorite products from them. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun going through my drawers of makeup and picking out products to mention for this video. If you guys would like a part 2 with more high-end brands or indie brands, let me know down below. And definitely, I really want to know your favorites from any of these affordable brands. Let me know, is there something that I really need to try? I don't care if it's a super old launch. I just like to try the best stuff. So tell me, what's all the good stuff down below? I'm super interested to know. Again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you're having a great summer, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye!